Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. The book, Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, came out in 2024, followed by Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. And the next book was Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. And recently released on July 19th was Raised by These Wolves, Volume 2, Child Trafficking Through the Foster Care and Court Systems. And feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. I've got a brand new guest. I'm very happy to have Camila Gaskey on. And she was the primary parent for her 4-year-old son until December of 2023, when the courts unjustly took him from her care and placed him with his father. They accused her of being a flight risk, alleging she would flee to Mexico to live with her father, who actually lives in Oregon. Despite the lack of evidence, the court ruled against Camila, stripping her of her parental rights. Since then, she's only been allowed to video visit with her child and was issued a DVRO for speaking out online and protesting. As a mother, she will do whatever it takes to remain a part of her son's life, and she will not give up like so many of us. And I totally welcome you, Camila Gaskey. Thank you for coming on Slam the Gavel. And where are you at with all of this now?
Okay, so I do have a hearing coming up in October. So it's right around the corner. However month it is, it always feels like it takes forever to get to that date. Uh
Mhm.
I have been waiting, I believe my last hearing was in July. So it's quite a span to wait for the next hearing. I have filed an RFO requesting for custody back, requesting at minimum just more time with my son visitation wise, and just gonna wait and see what happens in October. In the meantime, my family is also getting really upset and trying to also intervene in this court process. Since we live in Oregon, they're going to be filing in Oregon requesting for her grandparents' rights. We looked it up online and saw that they can actually file a new case requesting that my son be able to come to Oregon and visit them here as well.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what angle is going to work, but we're just going to keep at it, keep filing, keep making noise. The squeaky wheel gets the
Yes, it
oil.
does.
So, we're just not going to give up. And it's just been insane to see how this case has been going on for almost 4 years now.
Oh,
And the longer the process, the worse it's getting. Um, so it it's upsetting. It really is. I remember when I first started this case thinking, it can't get that bad.
mm,
Not for me, you know.
right.
I'm a good person. I'm a good mom. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, it's great. This courts are getting involved. They're just going to help us to discover or to organize our separation. We were never married, but I wanted to move to Oregon with our son, and he refused that idea. I'm originally from here, and I actually made a deal with him to live in California with our son for his first year of his life so they could have a bond and a relationship together. And then get this, the day after our son turned 1, I was served with court papers. It's like, wow, he had that planned for a
Mhm.
year.
Right.
And it's a shame to know I fell for it. I personally did not know a lot about the legal system. It's not like I was researching that when I had a baby in my belly, and
Uh-huh.
I think he was. So I was under the impression if we were married, that that would kind of make me have to stay in that state. And little did I know, it's just if you have a child with somebody. So I'm learning a lot about the legal system. I'm actually even going to school for law right now
Mhm.
because I'm just sick of paying all the money for attorney after attorney. Um, I've taken out loans, and my family has all taken out loans. We have spent over $300,000 in this court process because that's how much we care about this child. And
Mhm.
yet here's the courts taking away my son from me and put him in father's care. Father doesn't work. He hasn't worked in over a year. He doesn't
Oh,
have a vehicle. And here we go. We give him full custody. It's
this
like,
is terrible.
wow.
So are they expecting you to pay child support too?
Yes, they are. They are
Isn't that
expecting
how
me
that
to.
works?
Oh my gosh. So um was I worked as interior designer for a living. And then when I had my son, it was COVID. And that changed, I think, the world for everybody. And for me, career wise, I didn't want to be apart from him. And I also was a single parent and I didn't know exactly how to pay for daycare as well as going to work. It's like all my money went for preschool. And so I ended up switching careers, going to school to be a teacher. And
Mhm.
then I became a teacher so I could work at the school and get a discount so my son could go to school and have some kind of, babysitting situation so I could work. And then when that happened, all this court stuff was happening at the same time. I'm making very little money being a teacher. I
Oh.
had no idea how little they make. I have a lot of appreciation for them now.
Mm.
And yeah, then they said, we're going to take your kid away. And as they took my kid away, he announces, I don't have a job. So she needs to pay child support all in the same amount of time. Um,
Wow. That's what mine did as well. You
yeah.
see
And
this?
I couldn't work because I'm working
Oh.
as a teacher with kids. And it was actually in the same classroom as my son attended. So
Oh.
they took him out of transitional kindergarten class with me.
Oh.
And all the students would ask every day,
Oh,
where
no.
is he? And I had to lie and say he's on vacation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And yeah, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't see those kids and think of how my son was missing out on the activities we were doing or the holidays that were going by. And I broke down and said, I got to quit.
That's
I
so
quit.
wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I quit my job the same time that they brought me in for the hearing for child support. And
Mm.
I announced I no longer have a job. Didn't matter. You need to pay $800 a month. I was like,
Oh.
whoa. So here I am, no job, no kid. I was told no contact orders at that time because I was a flight risk.
Mm.
Um, and I just had a breakdown. I called family and they said, you cannot do this on your own anymore in that state. You need to move back.
Right.
So it was the hardest thing for me to pack up all my things, all my
Oh.
son's things. And at this time, it was April. My son was taken in December. My place was still decorated for Christmas
Mm.
because they took him just weeks before. And I just kept holding on to this hope that he was coming back and he was going to open his presents.
Mm.
So to pack up Christmas, move, be with family, and I'm telling them repeatedly, I can't pay child support. Not only do I no longer have a job, it's now summer break. So as a teacher, I cannot get a job. And I don't know what's going to happen with this. I have heard your story, Maryann, about you having to pay child support as well and the circumstances of what it led to for you. And that honestly terrifies me.
Well, and the
Um,
thing was, when you mentioned that he filed for child support directly after getting your child, that's what mine did, because I had
yeah.
gotten this letter in the mail. I'm going, what is this? So I called domestic relations and they actually laughed on the phone and they said, oh, yeah, the same day he got the custody paperwork, he ran down to domestic relations and filed child support on you. This is what they do.
Yep. Yep. It's like there's a game book of some sort that they're all following. And I just can't believe that if you don't, they can throw you in jail.
Mm,
Um, and that scares me because I think that's his intentions. It's
that's
not that,
sick.
yeah, it's messed up. I've never been in trouble with the law ever in my life. And now here I am trying to fend for my child and I'm worried that I'm going to get thrown in jail. And I never even thought that my kid could get taken from me.
Oh,
So it's honestly pretty terrifying the depths that the family courts will go to ruin our lives, essentially.
This is
Uh,
why they need to be abolished.
yes, yes, they definitely do. And the crazy thing is, I'm glad that there are those that are speaking up, but it's not enough. There needs to be more. And
Mhm.
I understand other moms that I've met, and I've formed like the support group for them. They are looking at me, and we'll speak up when we see things turn better for you, Camille. And
Oh,
I hate to be the example one because it's not getting better for me, it's getting worse. So of course
yeah.
then they are hiding because they don't want the same thing to happen to them, or the same thing already is happening where their kids are taken, but they're in this illusion that their kids are going to come back as long as they stay quiet and they cooperate. But it's not happening
Not going to
for
happen,
anyone.
no. Uh-uh.
Yeah, there are mothers that I've met, they haven't seen their kid in over 2 years,
Oh,
and I'm lucky enough that I get video calls finally now, but it's not the same. You can't touch them. You can't be
no.
there present with them. My son's only 4, he'll be 5, come
Mm,
December, and I can keep him on the phone for usually close to an hour, so that tells me he misses me being able
right.
to talk on the phone that young of an age for that long, but at the same time, I know that it's not fun for even him to just, "Let's just talk from afar." I don't know what he's being fed, maybe I don't wanna see him, and that scares me for down the road. How long are we gonna be separated and he's gonna be fed lies to not like me, because I know that's happening to a lot of moms as well.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm lucky that mine's young enough that he still gets excited to talk to me, and I'm still mommy, and
mhm.
he's still young enough that he doesn't comprehend what's going on. And at
Oh,
one
gee.
point, he actually said to me on the phone, I'm done at daddy's. I want to come home now. Uh,
Whoa.
when do I get to come home?" And we are told, be careful what we say because of the courts. And my video calls are all being recorded, for the courts to see through the Our Family Wizard app. And
Oh,
so
yeah. Do you know
yeah,
about that Family Wizard app that's sponsored by
yes.
the AFCC? Do you know that?
Yep,
Yep.
yep, and, I have to be very cautious about what I say, so
Oh,
I told him, "You're on vacation with daddy, you're just gonna be on vacation a little bit longer." It's like lying to your kid,
oh, it's
but
terrible.
you can't tell him, "I'll see you soon," or "Mommy's fighting for you," or "I'm trying to get you back home," because they can use that then against you.
Right.
And it's just sickening how we have to lie to our own kids to protect ourselves.
Mhm.
And I don't know, with his father not working, I don't know, in your position, maybe you can answer this, Marianne. Do they eventually get a job, or is this just they never work
I think
and
I don't think they'll work. I think they'll get a job once that kid turns 18.
oh gosh.
I mean, that's my
They find
summation.
will
Only
they find a way to survive without a job till they turn 18?
so he must be living with his parents in the basement? Is that what he's doing?
No, so he has a rental that's $1,800 a month, and I have no idea how he's even paying the rent. In fact, my name used to be on that rental agreement, and I asked for 3 years, get my name off, and the courts wouldn't help. And I said, "I'm not going to be liable for that, for whatever
Uh-uh.
damages or anything on that place." So I actually had to take him to small claims court to get my name off the lease.
Oh my, thank God you did that.
Yes, but then I sent that to the landlords and was like, "Look, you need to get my name off the lease." They said, "We can't do that. He will not qualify for the place if your name's off." I
Oh,
said,
well.
"It's a legal document that says you need to take my name off." They are like, "We're not going to do that because he pays his rent, so we need to keep it on." I'm like, "Whatever. At least I have the document now from a court case, so they can't come after me for damages or anything down the road if he just stops paying," which eventually may happen because I don't know how he's even paying now. Um, in my video calls with my son, a lot of times because I obviously lived with his father for that 1 year duration, and I know that residence, I could see in the background, oh, he's at his dad's, but he is hardly ever at his dad's. He is living with some stranger. I don't know this home that he's in, and I'll ask him, who are you staying with? And he's like, I'm with Yoda. I don't know who Yoda is. I don't know this
Oh.
person who is taking care of my son. So when I filed an RFO, I made sure to mention those things. He's living with a stranger. He's not living with his dad, who can't even take care of him because he doesn't have a job, doesn't have a vehicle,
Mm.
and yet you won't give him back to me.
And you don't even know if that child has his own bedroom.
Yes, and I put that in the paperwork. I said, I've asked him, where do you sleep? And he points at like a queen size bed that's in that room. That's an adult's bed with things hanging on the wall that indicate this is a female's room. And
Mm.
I don't know who this female is, probably the girlfriend
Mhm.
of some sort. But since I filed the RFO, now my son is in his father's care every day. So
Interesting.
his dad wants to make it look like, nah, she's crazy. He's been with me the whole time. And I don't know if it caused a fight between them, but I don't see my kid back at that girl's house anymore.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, but I'm kind of worried because I'd rather him be with that girl than be with his father.
Mhm.
And that's a sad, sad thought. Um, I had hopes that she would have reached out to me and been like, I'm sick of taking care of this kid that's not mine. Would you like him back?
Yeah.
That was kind of my hopes because I think I stood a bigger chance with her than I do with his father. So
Oh,
that's
man.
kind of gone. So it's like a little bit of regret of filing that RFO, but it needed to be done at the same time
Mhm.
because I want them to address it in our
Mm.
October hearing. So
Oh, do you wanna name your judge?
sure. So my original judge was Lisa Washington in Pomona Courthouse. That's in California. And then I protested in front of the building when they took my son away with a few other friends, individuals. And I think in a week, maybe a couple weeks, I don't know, a little bit down the line, my case got moved magically from that court case to Stanley Musk court case. I'm now in front of Judge Juhas, and I've only had one hearing with him where they were addressing the DVRO. And of course, the father went in and was like, I'm terrified of her from that
Oh.
protest. She is coercing outside viewers to attack me, and not only me, but our son. And I never mention our son's name. I never say, please, audience, go kidnap my kid. But those are the words that he said in that hearing. And then they slapped me with the restraining order saying, we do believe that you're coercing viewers by speaking out about your court case to go attack him. So,
Oh, no,
wow.
he just has this very bruised ego that they are nurturing his bruised ego,
Yes.
um, and this is happening to fathers as well. I mean,
Oh,
ev
yeah.
everyone's getting screwed over, but
Yep.
they're taking kids away from good fit parents.
Yeah. And the thing is, there there's two parents. There's a mother and a father, and they're not saying, let's find a way for you both to be a part of their life. They're doing extreme manners. They're picking either a mom or a dad and saying only one of you can be a part of this kid's life, not both.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing it over and over again by individuals that I'm meeting. And yeah, it's either mom's getting custody or dad is.
Mhm.
And the majority that I am witnessing though is dads are getting custody. It's like they're flipping the script. It
Well,
used to
right.
be moms.
Because for the past 40 to 60 years, they've taken the kids away from the fathers.
Yeah.
Even guys have told me this. In fact, someone on my podcast a couple years ago told me this. And now there's been a shift. And now they're going after the mothers. And, like first they would go after, the African Americans, but they figured they couldn't get enough money out of those people. So then they went on to the middle class whites, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Mhm.
he told me. And so
Absolutely.
that's what they're doing is they made the fathers pay long enough, now they're going after the mothers, but they're
Yep.
still going after good fit parents, or
Yep.
fathers, I mean, too.
Yep. Yeah, they are. They are. It's really sickening what's happening all around. And the sad thing is, I spoke to a lawyer, the last lawyer I spoke to. I've had, I don't know, maybe 8 different lawyers at this point. I get one for a little while. They always make these kiss and a promise of they'll give you everything. You give them the money and you don't get anything. And the last lawyer I spoke to, I was really upset with what she said. She said, I'm going to need 5,000 up front to just appear at my next hearing. And now the reason why I wanted her is because I was told that she was friends with my judge,
Mhm,
and they don't like you knowing this stuff, but there
mhm,
is a lot of that behind the scenes. And I thought, okay, if I hire her to come in and appear at my next hearing, and bat her eyes, that since they have a friendship, then I can get my kid back. I'm
mhm,
willing to play this route to get my kid back. But $5,000 seems a bit extreme for you to appear one time at a hearing.
mhm,
And I told her that it's too much money. She goes, "Oh, well, let me explain this to you. It sounds like you are putting a dollar bill sign in value more of your child." And I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "If you care about your child, then money should be of no essence." I said, "That's easy for you to say. You're
mhm.
the one collecting the money. But how dare you make me feel that way? I have
Right.
spent, and I think other parents too, we spend so much money because we do care more about our kids. And I feel the courts know that.
Mhm, mhm.
We'll just keep going because at the end of the day, our kid does need more, but we can't give you something we don't have. If we don't have money, we don't have money. And I'm personally kind of sick of asking for handouts from family and friends when
Mhm.
I've already done that repeatedly. So,
Oh. Well, I had an attorney send me a letter 2 weeks before Christmas saying, "You owe us $8,000. We really like working with you." I wish I had the letter in front of me, right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to remember it, and, "Oh, yeah, we love working with you, but, if we don't have this $8,000, we're gonna have to drop you. Sincerely, have a Merry Christmas, attorney
Yep.
so and so." It's like, "Have a Merry Christmas." So I was, like, swiping charge cards.
Well, oh yeah, yeah. I'm in so much debt because I have racked up credit cards, all
Mm,
in attorney fees. I have a loan that I'm paying back because of paying for an attorney. I have family that I have IOUs that I don't know when I'm going to get to because they're kind enough to say, focus on getting your kid back first, and
oh,
you can pay me. Um, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of debt. Before this, I was had a good credit. I
yeah,
had money in savings. It's like I was ready to buy a house. And now I don't know even like how to live is kind of how it feels. Um, I'm too busy with trying to wrap my head around this is my life now that I don't care if I'm in debt or I haven't paid that credit card. It sucks, but
mhm,
I'll have to work on that later. There's just no option right now.
right. And
Yeah,
see, the
it
courts know
sucks.
this. They want people to dump money, more money into the system.
Yep.
And when I went pro se, because it's like, okay, I've already dumped like 40 grand into this, and but I can't do it anymore.
Yep.
And it was really weird because the father would tell the kids, well, her father has an Air Force pension. That's where all that her money's coming from. It's like, dingbat, I'm a pro se litigant. I'm representing
Yeah.
myself.
Yep.
Where
Yep.
is he getting this from?
That's funny. My son's father is the same. So he will say all the time, like, her family comes from money, but my family is a bunch of farmers for a
Oh,
living. And I'm just like, your family works in the medical field. If we're really comparing, obviously anyone's hearing this can understand the difference of bill signs here.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
we do have a lot of family members who are farmers and also in the education field, so they're like teachers, so they can do both. I think the only person in my family that kind of makes the most money is my oldest brother, who's an engineer,
Mhm.
and he was helping a lot at the beginning. He's actually had to take a step back because he was getting so devoted into helping that he was like, "Sis, I'll do whatever you need." And
Oh,
it was really bad for him because he was just getting so upset about everything,
oh,
and
yeah.
we now have to shield a lot of what's happening from him because I just don't want to see his health decline from
Mhm,
this mental health.
mhm.
I mean, it's pretty hard even just for me, but to see that it's affecting my family as well is really been guilt tripping me because I appreciate having a good support system, but to know it's a fault, and it's like this guy is pure evil. He has
Mhm.
no idea to the limits that he's caused pain for everyone.
Oh,
So
definitely. Definitely.
we will see.
Yeah, and at some point, your child will actually know your case better than you. And when my kids told me about this Air Force pension my father allegedly had, I said, "No, grandpa was not in the Air Force for life. He was only in there for 4 years. So there is no pension."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope at the same time that I do get my son back, but I'm also scared because I've heard of a lot of individuals that don't, or if they do, it's many, many years later, and there's already been too much damage to repair a
Mhm.
relationship. That really scares me. So hope that's not the case. So I'm just gonna keep at it, give it my all. And in the meantime, I'm trying to understand what is the best route to go, even for myself. It's hard for me to think about going to back to work to be a teacher and being around other little kids. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know, do I do a change of career to be able to cope with all this going on? Um, I know when I was a teacher right before I quit, I would I would be found hugging some of the students for a really long time because I was imagining in my head that it was my son.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be found crazy for doing that to little kids that aren't my own. But it's like I think everyone in their own way is finding ways to cope. And we're
Mhm.
all a little crazy from this.
Well, right. I mean, family court is crazy. You're not crazy, family court is.
Yeah, it really, really is. But we'll see. I do have my own channel where I'm speaking out about this. I have a book in the making too. I'm trying to take after you a little bit, Marianne, here.
Good. That's
But yeah,
great.
and it's just any little way that I can kind of feel like I'm making progress, even if it's not in the courts, just for myself to kind of cope with all this. That's what I'm trying to get at. And just got to keep up some kind of hope some way or another.
Mhm. 'Cause
So,
your YouTube channel is Mother with a Voice, and I encourage everyone to like and subscribe. Go there and look.
yeah,
And, because the more we get the word out, we warn others. You know, I try to warn people to not even go in there, don't go near there.
exactly.
But then, see, you've got a personality disorder to deal with. I had a and still have a personality disorder to deal with,
Mhm.
and mine are all adults. So, I don't know if that ends.
That's sad. That's so sad because I keep hoping that it will. That
Right.
all this is just a nightmare. Eventually, I'll get my kid back, and as soon as I get him back, then everything else will kind of fall into play the way it's supposed to in life. But
Mhm.
until then, I just feel like my life is a mess.
Mhm.
Nothing makes sense. Every direction in which I pick, it has to involve what will the courts think? How will they project this? How will they be able to change this to make me look bad? As simple as purchasing a vehicle. I ended up buying an electric car and they try to use it against me in court. And I was like, what?
Mm.
Look, she has money. She has an electric car. And I was like,
Oh,
I bought this used and I bought it because I couldn't afford gas. Like,
oh
oh
god.
my gosh. So it's every decision I make, I have to think about the courts, not what I want. And
It's terrible. And
it
because I think if they took child support out of the equation, okay, so let's say no one had to pay child support. So would the personality disorder snap out of being a personality disorder and decide to mediate and work with you? I
yeah,
always wonder that. But it's making so much money, billions of dollars a year, that they're not gonna stop this thing.
it's true. It's true. In fact, when it comes to child support, I'm also worried I'm not paying, and it's summertime, so I do have my break to kind of put myself together. But if I never go back to work, they can then say, well, now you don't get to see your son because you're not contributing financially. And that scares me. Or them
Well,
saying, you don't care enough because you're not. paying child support, and that scares me. So do I need to go back to work and hurry up and make payments to him? But then his dad's just going to keep at this longer because now our son is a paycheck for him.
Right.
So,
Also, there was a case in New York State last year, February 1st, 2023. It's not federal. Morgan versus Morgan. The long and short of that was the ex-wife withheld the child from the father, and so they ruled to suspend his child support payments,
huh,
which was gold because I think if they're not going to let you see your kids, you shouldn't have to pay child support.
that's a good point too. I agree.
And so, I mean, I wish it was federal, but who knows? But maybe you can look at that case.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that actually. I am going to be looking that up. I think every time we get together and can collaborate different things that everybody has heard in different cases, it does help. So I appreciate that. And then I had a question for you. What do you think needs to happen in order for a change to be made in family law? Do you think it's everyone getting together better to announce what's happening, or what do you think?
I think it should be just abolished, the whole family law. I mean, you can't reform corruption. How can
Yeah.
you work with all these people that play in the same sandbox as the judge? They're all playing in the same sandbox. They know who to refer people to. It's all a game, and the poor parents don't know this.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy, he came into I don't know what he was working on, some window or something, and I said, "Do you know what family court is?" I just threw it out there. He says,
Yeah.
"Oh my god." He said he and his ex-wife walked in there once, and they looked at each other and walked right out, and they decided never to go back in there, and they were gonna work things out on their own.
Good. That's awesome. That's really great they did that. It is crazy if ever I see someone get upset about anything in their life and they're like, this is the worst. I always make little comments, not as bad as family court.
Right, right. Definitely. Yeah, there are worse things. I just where this family court came from, I heard that Congress installed it in the '60s. No one voted on it. It was just I don't someone correct me if I'm wrong because that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it needs to go away. It just needs to
Yeah.
go away because the only ones that are profiting are the judges, the attorneys, these third-party parasites such as guardian ad litems and attorney for child. It just needs to go away because
It's it's true, and they're
yes,
all connected.
right.
Um, if you look deep enough into your case, they are all friends,
Oh,
and
yes, they are. Yep.
it's a business.
Mhm.
Just for supervised visitation, they use the same company.
Right.
Um, Minors councils, they're all the same little group of people that they refer to everybody's case. Attorneys, they're all friends. In fact, I sometimes feel like they're playing a game, arguing with each other. So the emails and the phone calls going back and forth that they're billing you for, it's
Uh-huh.
just for show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the collab because one of them messed up saying, don't forget that meeting we had or something like that, opposing party's attorney to my attorney. And I said, what meeting?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
he didn't want to talk about it. And I said, oh, so you guys talk amongst each other and kind of like come up with
mhm.
the scheme of what's going to happen, who's going to win. Well, I noticed she has more money than him, so we need this to drag out longer.
Right,
It's essentially what they're discussing, and it's such a joke. It really is.
right, and the thing is, the one attorney I had said he knew the child support judge, they were friends. I thought, "Oh, thank God." And here what he would do instead, he would send his underling in because he wouldn't argue in front of her because he knew this case was rigged. He knew that the judge and the opposing attorney were BFFs since they worked in the DA's department for years. So, there was something going on there, and, I wish I had the money to prove it, but
Yeah.
I'm drained.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I would call and tell family the things that would happen in family court, and it just felt like none of my family believed me at first. Um, the judge and the opposing party's attorney were literally discussing when they were going to go golfing next. in
Oh, yeah.
front of me before
Yep.
the hearing even started. And then
Yes.
the opposing party's attorney would look back at me and wink.
Yeah.
Like they were not hiding it. And then now we're going on record, it's like
Mhm.
none of that is getting transcribed. And even if it is, they're going to take it out because even the court reporters are in on this whole thing. You can't
Right.
rely upon those transcripts. So
Right.
it there is no way for us to come out on top when all of them are working against us, and it's really scary. I'm also a pro per, and when I go in, I'm up against opposing party's attorney, minors counsel, there's a whole bunch of them and me,
See,
and yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think family law attorneys are hurting because of the economy. I don't know, maybe they've slowed down and people aren't running into court. And maybe, I guess some people are, but I think they're trying to keep these cases going so they have a constant paycheck coming in.
I could see that. I can definitely see that, and I agree with you there. It's just about making money somehow or another. There is no reason why my case should be going on 4 years now. We were
Mm.
never married. We have no assets to
Right.
separate. Why is this still dragging on? I want it to get to trial, and yet there's always an excuse as to why we can never get to trial, which is the end of it all. Um,
Right.
I am like, this is my life now. I'm in family court for good because my son's father enjoys this. It's like watching a movie
Yes.
for him.
Oh,
He
it's the
enjoys
same.
going in, filing the papers. He wants to be famous someday, he always says, and he believes of himself to be a writer.
Oh,
And the combination of both, it's like, wow, do you have your fame and glory yet? I don't
yeah.
understand.
These
When
people
do you want this to end?
these people are sick because they enjoy torturing someone.
Yes,
Even their own
yes,
child. They'll torture their own children, and they don't care. As long as
yes.
they're getting attention, they're attention seekers, and not to jump off that topic, but the clerk of courts, these people are very powerful as well,
Mhm.
and they feed into these personality disorders.
Wow. I believe it. I mean, we had a child custody evaluator on our case. This was probably the most eye-opening moment for my case. Child custody evaluator comes in, and she met with me. This went on for I think 3 months or something. Maybe it was a little bit longer. The bill was insane. I think we paid over $10,000 for this individual to come in and evaluate both of us and to give a report. And my report made me sound so bad.
Oh,
I broke down in tears, and then I went, "Wait a second. This is not me. How
mm.
am I a cutter? I have no cut lines. How was I involved in human trafficking? I've
Oh,
never been involved in human trafficking." And then I start looking at her reviews online and reaching out to the women who have also written reviews about this happening to them. And I became friends with them, and I started talking to them and being like, oh my gosh, they tell us you're not allowed to show your report to anybody, but heck, we can talk about it. And we spoke about it, and it was rubber stamped. The things that they said about her, they said about me. So this woman is just making copies of this document and putting a different person's name on it. And that's when I was awoken to, oh my gosh, the family court system is corrupted. What is happening here?
right, right. Because, I've gone on LinkedIn and traced a person's judge and looked at who their friends are on LinkedIn. And
Oh, wow.
then you start seeing a breadcrumb trail
Wow.
of who knows who and who's contributed. There's also a site where you can look up how much money a lawyer has contributed to a judge campaign.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I believe it all entirely. It's it's really sickening what's happening. And
Mhm.
even worse is the outsiders who haven't been involved in family court. They can't comprehend what we're saying. They'll hear us and they'll say we must be wrong, or maybe we don't have the full story. And it's really agonizing, continuously repeating ourselves. No,
Mhm. Mhm.
this is what's going on. I mean, I'm lucky that I came from a small town and everybody kind of grew up together. And so my best friends have known me my whole life. And so when I told them my son was taken from me, they go, why? Like, how were they able to do this? It
Mhm.
wasn't, what did you do wrong? They didn't question me. It was, there is something wrong with that court system. And I was
Mhm.
lucky enough that I have them. And I know a lot of women don't. They lose friends because they said, well, you must have did something wrong. And these
Yeah.
women get sick of repeating themselves. No, it wasn't me. I'm not
Right.
crazy. So,
Oh, right. Because I've interviewed Jim Schock multiple times, and he's had they won't give him his kid. He needs to have full custody of his kid because the child is living with the girlfriend who lives with a 4-count felon. And
oh,
these judges allow stuff like this to go on for years.
yep, they do. They do. I just think that if they don't stop soon, people are going to go crazy, essentially. I mean, I know people don't want to talk about it, but a lot of women think multiple times bad thoughts that they've never thought before. And
Mhm.
one of these days somebody is going to snap. And when that happens, I'm not going to blame her. I guess is what I'm trying to say. If
Well,
somebody goes and kidnaps their kid, I'm going to go keep going.
I
Go
know.
get
Yeah.
the kid.
Well, somebody already did snap. Pedro Argate, last this past year, he shot his judge because a judge just took away all he wrote a no contact order when there was
Mm,
really no reason to. I mean, there
mm,
were pictures of his kids that, wrote on the sidewalk with chalk, "I love you, Daddy." There was no reason to do this. He was not a risk of any kind.
mm,
And my judge wrote a no contact order because, I'm so dangerous.
mhm.
But I mean, that guy went out and he shot the judge. And
Wow.
so people, I mean, he lost it. I mean, it's sad all the way around. I mean, I don't encourage any type of violence because I mean, I- really, is any of these people worth going to jail for? Really?
Exactly, exactly. Um, wow, that is crazy. I haven't heard that story. I feel like looking it up now. I kind of just don't blame him. I mean, I
Mhm.
agree with you. I don't encourage this type of behavior, but they are pushing us to our limits and making us crazy. And I too had no contact order twice now.
Mm.
And both times I'm like, is this serious? Like, this is ridiculous. And now a DVRO slapped on me. And I'm like, really? With my kid in it? I have not done anything at all. And yet I'm constantly being pushed into like being treated like I'm a criminal of some sort. And eventually you tell a person enough that you're a criminal, this, that, they're going to start acting like one because they're upset about how they're being treated.
Mhm.
I don't blame that guy for doing that. In some ways, all of us have had that thought one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And it's just sad.
I mean, all I did was I sat back because I tried to recuse the judge who was BFFs, with the opposing attorney. And he screamed at me. He was not going to recuse himself. And he knew this case better than anybody else. It's like, yeah, I'm sure you do, buddy.
Mhm,
And so I
mhm.
just said, God, you just deal with them because I don't know what to do with these people. You deal with them. So on March 2nd, 2015, when he took those kids away from me and gave me a no contact order, even for Mother's Day, no contact, and I just kept praying, God, you deal with them. 2 years later, on March 2nd, 2017, the same day that he took my kids away, I get a call from one of my friends. I was at the mall with a friend, and she said, "Did you see the news?" I said, "No." She said, "Your judge died." So God works in mysterious ways.
Oh, that's honestly, like, the best story I think I've heard in
Yeah,
a while.
isn't it? Isn't it? You're right.
That is great.
But one of my friends says, "Yeah, but he destroyed more lives in those still in those 2 years." It's like, but everything is in God's timing, because I have seen God work within 24 hours, not to shove God down anybody's throat. But I mean, I have prayed that God would deal with someone, and he did the next day. but not in a fatal way, but also like the opposing attorney, the first one I ended up with, I have never seen any woman act crazy in a courtroom I mean, she was wearing these weird pink high heels and this pleather motorcycle jacket and these cropped pants. And she's prancing around the courtroom and she'd bait me. So she would say something. And I thought, is she asking me a question? She'd pause and I'd answer it. And then she'd start talking. And then the judge would yell, stop interrupting her. And this went on 6 times. I'm going, what the hell is going on here? So I said, God, you got to deal with her. She's crazy. She's absolutely crazy. And you know what? Within 3 months, I get a letter from my lawyer saying she's had to withdraw. She has colon cancer.
Wow.
So
Okay.
put your faith in God. I'm telling you.
Well, I think I've been praying a lot myself, but I think I need some of your prayers coming
Oh, I'll be
through.
praying. I pray over everybody who has
Oh,
participated in
wow.
this podcast.
That's great. Yeah, because I think you got some kind of psychic abilities over there. You've got a
Mhm.
connection with God, and I really, I mean, I do pray all the time. If at minimal, just keep my son safe while he's away, because I do have some worries about him being in his father's care.
Mhm.
And in one way or another, I do hope that eventually those who are acting in this way do get what's coming to them in
Oh,
some
they
way.
will. Yeah,
I really
some people say karma. I don't know if that's like the same thing as God. I don't know, but some people say what goes around comes around. And yeah, I've seen that too. But you know, I don't know. I mean, God is watching and God will deal with them.
Mhm. I do wanna, your story about the opposing party's attorney made me think about, my opposing party's attorney. So he's been pro bono for over a year. He finally just got off the case. Thank God. He was awful. It really felt like there was some kind of weird, intimate relationship between him and my ex. And that's why he was able to represent him for free all this time. I don't know the connection there. I don't want to know,
Was it
but it
drugs? Could have been drugs?
could be. I just found that they were way too close and his
Mm.
attorney was way too involved. And he would have little talks with me out in the hallway that were very inappropriate. He told me one time, "You remind me so much of another case that I've had to deal with." And at the end of the case, that mother became a prostitute on the street. So you might want to watch out. And
Why
I
would
was
you
like,
even? Oh my God.
I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Isn't that sad? That's going to be your future." And I said, "No, it's not. This is a pathetic story. And she sounds very weak if it's even real. That's
Right.
not going to be me. Give it your best shot, And his attorney, similar to description you were saying, that's what made me think of it. He wears cowboy boots with the suit. He's got a neck
Ew.
tattoo on him.
Nice.
Who knows whatever else we can't see. And he's a short little dude. He's maybe 5'5", and he gets so angry all the time over
Oh,
nothing. And he's way too invested, and he's constantly calling me names and slandering me. And I'll just go at him. We go back and forth emailing all the time, where he'll call me names and well, you're a
oh.
pedophile, and I'm just like, is that the best you got? Come on.
Have you reported
And
that to the I don't know, like I'm not the bar, but like over here we've got a Supreme Court disciplinary board where you report lawyers.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, I have tried reporting him to the state bar many times. I don't know about that, but I'll look into it.
There might
And
be some other place you report because the state bar, they just protect each other.
and that makes sense because every single time, all they ever say is, "You don't have enough evidence."
Oh yeah. See, well, they said that to me too. And this is when I was in my federal case, and I sent, you know, I got back an namby-pamby letter, and it's like, this is not right. I can't sit on this. So I called up, you know, the Supreme Court Disciplinary Board, and I talked to a lawyer, and he says, well, you know what? Send us more information. Do you have more information on this? So I did. And that lawyer got in trouble.
Oh, that's great. Wow. Okay. I'll look at that route. I'm just so grateful that he's finally off our case.
Mm.
Who knows? They can come back anytime. But while he's gone, gives me a little bit of hope, like, okay, now I'm gonna file this RFO. Now we're gonna file an Oregon. We're just gonna hit this guy when he doesn't have an attorney to give him advice, but he's left the case before and comes back all the time. So I
Mm.
don't know their relationship, but an attorney that's willing to work for over a year for free, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's
That's
weird.
just weird.
That's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
Um, I know I approached the opposing counsel and because this was just going on from 2013 to 26. I mean, it was just getting up there. And so I said to him, I said, what would you do if your wife was doing this to you? And I saw a glimmer of humanity and it was gone. And then he just shook his head like, oh, and he walked away from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit of insight of their own medicine, but yeah, I just don't think a lot of these individuals have a heart, because if they did, how do they sleep at night knowing that they're destroying so many families?
Right. Right. It's the parents. And, I know the kids are paying dearly, but so are the parents.
Yes, definitely. I know my favorite moments are just having video calls with my son at the very end where I say, "Give me a kiss." And, he'll give me a kiss and say, "I love you," and then hang up. And that's the best part, is to know that the love is still there. And so it gives me the energy to keep fighting. So
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll
Oh,
see.
I'm so glad you came on. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, if anyone wants to follow my YouTube channel, I did take a break. I had to,
It's
and I hope
okay.
to start back at it again. So
And that's Mothers with a Voice. Please like and subscribe to Camila Gaskey's YouTube channel. Um, and I'd like to have you back on again sometime with an update with your case if you like.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I hope to have better news the next time I'm on here.
Definitely. Hey, don't jump off.
Okay.
Slam the Gavel podcast is to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. I totally thank you, Camila Gaskey, for all your insight and everything that's going on. And I'm very sorry you're going through this.
Thank you.